Welcome to the Mama Needs a Moment podcast. We're your hosts, Chrissy
and Cindy,
co-founders of Her Health Collective. We are two moms obsessed with revolutionizing the way moms take care of themselves.
Every other week, we dive into the topics that matter to moms most, answering your most pressing questions as we learn from top-notch experts, swap stories, tap into our creative sides, and advocate for the causes that moms truly care about, all while hanging with your mom friends.
We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
We're back to share another episode of Mama Needs a Moment, and our hearts are full because you're here to listen. We love bringing you guests who are not only doing impactful work in women's health, but also have interesting stories to share. This episode with LaToshia Rouse delivers in both areas. As you listen, you'll notice that this episode is missing something, or rather someone, me. I had a last-minute conflict at the time of recording, so Chrissy shared time with LaToshia without me. I'm so bummed that I missed it because LaToshia and the work she is doing are amazing. I have to say that there were several moments when my mouth dropped open, whether from shock or because LaToshia said something, as Chrissy would say, tweetable. After listening to the episode, make sure you compare your 3 takeaways with mine. I'm curious if they're the same. Enjoy.
LaToshia, I am so excited to be here with you today.
I'm so excited to be here with you today.
Thank you. It is an honor to have you. You have such extensive background in so many different areas, and I know that we're going to have a great conversation. But first, one of our favorite things is to just get to know our expert guests a little bit better. We think it makes them more relatable to our audience and our listeners. And it also just makes us more comfortable talking to you to hear that you put your pants on the same way that we do.
Definitely do.
We were just at a conference this past weekend. It was Mom Congress, and we were going to speak to different representatives. And that's what they said about the senators and the representatives. And it made everyone laugh, but it was helpful to hear because we often get intimidated by experts and people that we put on this pedestal. So it's always helpful to hear. But we're going to dive into some get to know you questions. And we just want to hear what you have to say about yourself. So number 1, fill in the blank. Motherhood is
transformative.
Oh, I love that. Can you tell me more?
Motherhood is, I find, for myself and the women that I work with, the time is where we find out truly who we are and what we're made of and what we're capable of and what we hope for in the future. Dreams are hatched because we look at these people and what we've, what we're becoming and what we've gone through, and we become a new person. And so sometimes even in labor, I whisper that to someone. I'm like, we're here. It's time to push. You're going to meet that new person.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And how lucky for those mothers to have you by their side. If I had someone whispering that in my ear, that would be very powerful. So yeah, transformative. And because becoming a mother is unlike any other challenge out there. There is nothing like it. And it completely alters you. So yes, 100% agree. What do you value most in a friendship?
Loyalty and the ability to just have fun. I'm the person who, I do a lot of things. And so when I am with my friends, I'm like, this has to be fun. I need fun. So I need people who will make me do silly things.
Yeah. I mean, I think those fun shared experiences are so important to cementing a friendship too, right? I mean, you can only get together. I mean, it's fun to get together over tea or wine or whatever it may be and talk about all the struggles you're having as a mother or, whatever the case may be, you're complaining about your job or all those things, but there has to be something more. There has to be those shared experiences. And if they're fun, it just makes it all better, So
yeah, we need those outlets. Everybody's so busy. We're all doing so many things. And so having those outlets are great. But I'm also the friend that if I tell you something, I don't need to tell you not to tell anyone. You have to know that. Not if it is today I'm wearing purple. Now, someone comes to me and said, somebody told me you were wearing purple the other day. I'm like, why are they telling you that? It could be simple. It is not deep. I don't want you telling anybody anything, because why? This was our experience. We don't have to tell everybody. So I'm that friend too.
So I love that, a sense of, I don't even know if privacy is the right word, but like that shared connection, it's special, and you don't necessarily want your business shared with other people that weren't there.
No, and I do that for other people. I
Sure.
hold that dear.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely respect that. What is the most daring thing you've ever done?
You know, I would have to say, for me, it was with my oldest son. He was 4 years old, and this is some mom stuff. This is not like friend stuff. He was 4 years old, and we were trying to figure out what school he was going to, and I could not go through all the things that you have to go through to get into the schools you want to get into. And my son has autism, mild autism. If you met him, you might not even notice it. He would say he was quirky. But when he was 3 and 4 years old, it was a little more obvious. And so I decided, and my husband and I were like, we're not doing this. And we decided to homeschool. So we took the leap into homeschooling him and never put him in public school. And for me, in my motherhood journey, that was scary. It was unconventional. It was, I had all the people telling me all the things, but inside of me, I knew I had to do it, but I didn't necessarily know how. And so with someone so dear to me, taking that leap, I don't think there's anything else that touched that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many, like we just said before, there are so many scary things in motherhood, and it forces you to step outside of your comfort zone time and time and time again. Absolutely.
Absolutely. That is
Yeah.
what it is. That's the journey.
Yes.
That's how we grow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, girl, it's going to be okay. Oh, everything you're thinking about is so not going to happen, but it's going to be okay.
I could have like recorded that and played that to my like 16-year-old self on repeat.
I was the person who said, I'm not having any kids. I am
Oh.
traveling the world with my briefcase, and I'll meet my husband every couple weeks to hang out. We're not going to be in the same city.
So interesting. When did you feel that shift? When did the family life appeal to you, being stationary in one city? When did all of that sort of come into your life for you?
So I would say 30 was when I started going, oh, wait a minute. I was married at that point, but I thought about kids, and I was like, this is weird. There's this clock ticking. I feel like I should do this thing. So about 30, I felt that. But, getting married, I still thought, oh, we might have one. Maybe we'll have one. I don't know. He wants one. I still wasn't there.
Wow. And so now you are actually a mom to 4. Wow. You have an older son and then also triplets.
Yes.
Your triplets were actually born at 26 weeks via an emergency vaginal delivery. If you're willing, we would love to hear more about your birth story and what that experience was for you.
I love telling this story. It is one of those stories that I tell often. I tell it, in 3 minutes. I've told it in 45 minutes. It depends on the scenario. But I will say my story of finding out that I was pregnant with triplets was bananas. I never believed that was possible for me.
I can't imagine.
No. I did do medication with my son to have him. So I just took the medication, and then, I got pregnant after a couple of tries. And then with these guys, because my husband wanted one more, and I wasn't sure about that in the beginning, but then I was like, okay, we'll do it. So it was one more. That's what we were doing. And when we went in, they said, you probably have a 7% chance of having twins. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah,
7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7%.
7. 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
they didn't tell me it was 100% chance of having triplets, though. That's not what they done. So I thought maybe we'd have one, but never, maybe two, but that was unlikely based on those odds. And we did the medications, we did 3 rounds, and they were like, okay, it's not working. So we need to move to the next level. We could move to IVF, but if you want to try IUI, you have like a 13 increased chance of becoming pregnant if you go through IUI. It may work, it may not, but if you want to go through that, we can. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Because I thought if I had IVF, I would most likely have multiples. I just felt that. And so we went through the 3 cycles of that. And on my 3rd cycle is when they said, you have 2 possible 3 eggs. And I said, okay, let's go. And they all took. From there, my husband was super excited. I was not there. It took a minute for me because, like I told him, I'm like, you're going to work on Monday. After these kids are like, you're going back to what is normally going to happen in your daytime life. I am coming to the realization that I might not ever be able to work again. And that is very far from the person who was carrying the briefcase traveling the world.
Right.
I think, that's a big shift. And so I got there and fell in love with these babies. I started to learn personalities through ultrasounds and through just feeling them move and grow. And then somewhere around, 26 weeks, my water breaks. And I am literally just sitting there going, I know what just happened. I call my mother in the other room. I tell her. I call my husband. I told him to come home. Called my doctor and they said, come on in, bring a toothbrush. You're not having contractions, so you could be here for a while. And I was prepared for that. And I thought, I'll be in a hospital for weeks. And there will be people bringing me food and I won't have to clean.
I love the look for silver lining, like the silver lining. That's great.
I was so tired. And so that really was, I was really okay with that piece. I didn't want to be away from my family, especially my 3-year-old at home. But I was so tired that was a welcome invitation. I was exhausted. And so once I got there, they gave me all the steroids and they did all the things. And the next thing I know, they're, about 3 days in, they said, you can get up and walk around. You can take showers. You can go to the bathroom. We're going to kind of let you live a little bit. And I was excited about that. And I started doing it. I questioned it, if I'm true about it in my core. I thought, I don't know about this, but I just did it, And then somewhere around day 4, Friday morning, I am having these cramps and I tell my nurse as she's preparing for shift change, and shift change is around 7. And so it's around, going in 6 o'clock. And I'm saying, I'm having these cramps. And I think it's the laxatives that you're giving me. And she said, don't take them anymore. When they bring them in, don't take them. And, we'll see how that does. And I said, okay. And she walks out and I have to go to the bathroom. So I walk in to go to the bathroom and something felt different. And so I reached and I felt my daughter's head.
Oh my gosh.
And when I felt her head, there was nothing else to do. The contractions started. And it was almost like this mind-body connection. Like she was there when I walked in the bathroom, but I wasn't having the contractions that I felt once I knew she was there. And so I pushed and I had this moment of a little harder, not that hard. Okay, put your hands down. All right, push. All right, catch her. Don't turn her up so that the fluid doesn't go into her lungs. Hold her head down. Hold her between her shoulders. Catch her head. All of these things are running through my mind as if the instructions were meant for me.
Were you already a doula at that point?
No.
Oh.
No, I had not. No, I had no. It was divine.
Wow.
No,
I
I had no
have
experience.
chills right now. Wow.
I had no experience. And so I did what the instructions were telling me to do, and I pulled the chain because I was alone in this bathroom having babies in the hospital. So I pull the chain, and the nurse that I was just speaking to comes in the room, and she stops and she holds her hands up like this, and like she was going to catch a football. And I said, baby. And she ran out of the room and left me there holding the baby. But in that moment, it was so peaceful. I was really sure that this was okay. And I waited for her to come back. I did not move out of that spot because my cord is still attached. Things are coming out. But I had this moment to look at my baby, and I was like, oh my goodness. And she gave me a little, they're so small, 26 weeks. And that was my reassurance, right? So everyone comes in, and our little moment is over because there are people talking to me, and it's loud, and there are people trying to climb in the room. The whole hospital came, and they said, okay, we're going to give you the C-section we discussed because you cannot have triplets vaginally, right? And I'm like, okay, we're getting the OR, and it's the second baby's down push. So I'm now laying flat on this operating room bed trying to figure out where my muscles are. They're not where they were when I was standing. And so it took me some time to kind of figure it out, but I was afraid to have a C-section. I never wanted that. I always asked them, can I have my triplets vaginally? And they said, no way. So I was afraid that I wasn't going to figure it out and they were going to do it. But it took me about 15 minutes to figure it out. And they gave me that time, and I was able to push my second baby out. And my third baby was at the top of my rib cage, transverse, not trying to come out, like holding the walls. So the doctor goes in, turns the baby, brings the baby down to the exit, and pulls his arm out of me. I did not know he was in there. That hurts worse than childbirth. I'll have another baby before I have somebody take their arm and put him inside of me with no pain medication.
Oh, man.
But like I said, I was afraid. So I pushed one time, and this baby shoots out. And so I had all of them 15-ish, because, we don't know what time this baby was born, the first one. 6, 15, 6, 32, 6, 44. So within like 30 minutes, I had all of them. But,
you're like a medical marvel.
Oh, yes. Yes. I tell this story to clinicians, and they go, oh my God. Because that's not supposed to happen. It was supposed to be planned. They were supposed to have all the doctors. They didn't have enough doctors at the hospital because you need a neonatologist for each baby. And they don't have 3 on staff all the time. It was supposed to be planned. And then for me to have them, so fast, I think was shocking to me. I had no idea how that was going to work. So yeah, that's how it all happened.
Your mind-body awareness and just the intuitive approach you had in that moment is so powerful. And I mean, I think clearly you're very in tune. I think all women have that ability, and I think that's where doulas and midwives are so powerful, is because they help foster that connection and really just, I guess, showing women to trust that, because I think that's one of the biggest things is we ignore it because we're supposed to be listening to the doctors and the experts and they know what's best. And of course, in some situations they do. And I mean, I would never say not to, listen to those experts, but we also have a lot of innate wisdom within our body. And I think your story just so beautifully illustrates that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, absolutely. And I that is something that I do tell a lot of people, is they say the same thing to me. Oh my God, how did you know this stuff? And I'm like, listen, that is a part of the process. And it starts with, being pregnant. What are you feeling? What is your intuition saying when you are in labor? So I have people do these things of, where is your baby? You don't need an ultrasound. Where do you feel kicks? Where do you feel like getting in tune with your body and your baby? throughout the process, because it continues even after they're here. You get this intuition that tells you you should be doing something else here. And when you listen to it, your life is better.
Oh, absolutely.
Guess what? Everyone has a spine and nervous system and can benefit from chiropractic care. Anytime there is stress on your nervous system, your body may not function properly.
Many people are unaware that children can benefit from chiropractic care. They assume that seeing a chiropractor is just something you do when you're an adult dealing with a bad back, stiff joints, or poor posture. True story, that was me for the longest time.
For example, as a newborn, you might struggle to latch or breastfeed. As a toddler, you might experience digestive issues that threaten proper nourishment. As a teen, poor posture, heavy backpacks, contact sports, and normal growing pains can lead to your child experiencing headaches, scoliosis, PMS, back pain, and ADD, ADHD.
I definitely wish I had known about chiropractic care when I was a teen. Additionally, as a pregnant woman, you might have persistent lower back pain, which chiropractic care can be a huge help for.
Believe it or not, these issues are all related to your nervous system, and they can all improve with chiropractic care.
Chiropractic care aims to improve the function of your spine and nervous system so that your body can function at its best.
Don't wait for the pain. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to be in pain to seek out chiropractic care. In fact, pain is typically the last symptom that is expressed when the spine isn't in proper alignment.
Think of chiropractic care as a healthy lifestyle habit. The same way you brush your teeth to prevent cavities, you should go for regular chiropractic adjustments to promote better spine and nervous system health.
I've never thought of it that way. Davis Family Chiropractic serves families in the Raleigh area. They want to help you discover the root cause of your problem, address it, and give your body the best tools it needs to heal.
Davis Family Chiropractic focuses on prenatal and pediatric chiropractic care, and their doctors are both certified in the Webster technique, which can be helpful throughout pregnancy or simply as an intervention if a baby is breech.
Prenatal chiropractic care helps to keep mom comfortable during pregnancy and helps to get your baby in the best possible position for birth. Davis Family Chiropractic sees kids of all ages, from birth through teenagers, to make sure that your child is developing properly and adapting to life.
Visit Davis Family Chiropractic at davischiro.nc.com and on social media at davischiro.nc.
Improve your family's health before it becomes an issue.
I absolutely love that. And I love the point you make about when they are here, because it's true. A mother's intuition is so true. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit. So raising triplets would be difficult for a lot of people, myself included, to comprehend, to wrap their head around. Plus, you already had an older child at home when you brought the triplets home. So how did having multiples change motherhood for you? How was it different from the first time around? And then really, I would love to know if you have any advice or words of wisdom for moms of multiples.
I tell people 1 baby takes 100% of your time. 3 babies take 100% of your time. You just do it differently. My approach to parenting changed. With my first child, I could not stand to hear him make a sound, and I was over there and I had to fix it and I had to help. With my triplets, I'm like, oh, y'all are a whole crew. You can do some things on your own. Wow, look at you. You're great. You have partners in this. So I was much more laid back because I really physically couldn't do what I did with my first one with 3 babies. And I think they are so much more independent than my first child was at this age because of that. I've always kind of stepped back and kind of let them figure some things out. And so I'm so much more laid back because I can't physically be all the things that I was for my first child.
Yeah, I can see that. I have an only child. I also was an only child myself.
Oh.
And, I think in some ways that does force a certain type of independence upon you, but also being the only child, you're very attached to your parents in a certain way. And like, there's a certain connection and degree of like help that is provided to you a lot. Right. And even my friends who have not twins or triplets, but they have multiple children, you can see as each kid comes along how much more relaxed, I guess maybe the right word, how much more relaxed the parenting gets as they kind of just step back. There's a little more calmness about everything. There has to be, right? Like you can't do everything that you did when you were just kind of dealing with one child.
No, I remember like people ask me this question all the time. What did you do when they all cried? And I was like, I'd turn on really loud music and I'd dance in front of them. And they thought I was nuts and they just stared at me and they stopped crying.
I love it.
Like, what do you want me to do? Dance? Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. So the entertainment factor went way up there.
Way up, way up. I started making up songs. I still do it now. I make up songs. If I'm trying to get them to remember something, I'll just make up a random song. I've become really good at lyrics. And I don't know. I became more myself. I think that was always there and I just didn't know it. And so we sing and dance and entertain all the time. But I think that is something I would tell moms of multiples is to enjoy it. It's overwhelming, but find those moments where you can absolutely enjoy it. Celebrate the milestones, eat the cake, let the rules go for a while, because this really is a moment in time. They're going to grow up. And when you look back on it and you realize just what this miracle has been for you, you want to know that you absolutely enjoyed it. Not that you did it right, it's that you enjoyed it too.
Oh, wow. Yes. I want to like let that sit in there for a minute. Not that you did it right, but that you enjoyed it.
Mhm.
That's powerful. I mean, how, myself included, how many mothers spend all of their time worried about doing it right and getting it right. And in that, you don't enjoy it. You get wrapped up in the guilt and the shame and the fear. And wow, that's a tweetable. That's a quote right there. I like that. Okay, you have spent time focused on bringing the parent perspective to the newborn intensive care unit, the NICU, and antepartum improvement committees at Wake Med. You've also served as a member of the NICU's Vermont Oxford Network team. I'd love to know what discoveries you made in this work around NICUs. What areas did you kind of look at and say, there's room for improvement here? And then on the opposite side, this is something that we're getting right. This is something that we're doing well.
So I will say that the NICU at Wake Med is a different NICU because it is a NIDCAP NICU. And that means that they focus on individualized care for each baby. So they literally do a report on each baby and they watch them for at least an hour. And they watch their interactions with the noise in the room, the voices, the machines, how they move, how they show discomfort, how they are communicating with you. And they write a report for the staff and for families. And what I recognize is that report matched what I knew about my babies. I had 3 of them in there, and each one had a different report. And that was reassuring to me and empowering to me because it helped me to realize I can parent in this environment. I am the mother. I know these babies like no one else. And that is something that I loved about my experience. I got to parent, I got to do the baths, I got to feed, I got to ask the questions and kind of help people to learn them if they were new. I think the thing that we get right in the NICU setting is understanding that each baby that comes into the NICU, they're coming into the NICU with really scared parents. Really scared parents who have a lot of times never been here before, didn't expect to be here. And a lot of NICUs have support groups. They have supports for parents. They have ways for parents to connect and build community within the NICU. I think one of the things that we worked on and a lot of NICUs are working on is improving the education around what is necessary and what is needed at any given point so that people understand all of the gadgets that are on their baby and how they can still hold their babies even with all the gadgets. Breastfeeding with gadgets. I got to a point where I was able to beat the machine. So listening to a baby, if their baby drops their heart rate or if a baby stops breathing, the machine will beep to tell you that it happened. So I could tell when my baby stopped breathing because they taught me that. So before the machine beeped, I could look at my baby and then wait for the machine to figure out that it stopped. And I just go ahead and start working on getting the baby to breathe again. Those skills are bonding times. Those skills are empowering, to be able to take this baby home, because after you've seen a baby not breathing, you take them home, you wonder if it's still happening, even though they've most likely outgrown that phase. Yeah. And so the education piece we get right. I think we have much more improvement to do around fathers, because we don't include them a lot of times. It's mother focused. And I think we have a lot more to do around what happens after the NICU, because we do a great job while we have people in our face. But once they leave and they go home and now they have a child that is growing up at home, what is that like? It's not the same experience as if you've had a full-term baby at all. Even though we feel like that, a lot of people who don't understand, it's not. There's still doctor's appointments and therapists, and you still kind of want to keep them in a bubble, and you have anxiety. I could hear somebody sneeze a mile away because I didn't want my baby with compromised lungs to be sick. So I had to have that protective factor. And also developmentally, you're always adjusting their age. And so you're trying to compare your child to another child on the playground, and they might not be there yet. But the key word is yet.
Yeah. How can a parent with a child in the NICU better advocate for themselves and their children?
Understanding that you are the constant in their lives, and that you are the person who needs to speak up and say what you're noticing. Let the staff know. Call care team meetings. They don't have to be the people to call them. You can call them and say, hey, I'm not understanding what the plan is here. I don't understand what the goals are. I need some time. And schedule a meeting with them. Be there for rounds. If you can't be there for rounds, call in after rounds and speak to the nurse or the doctor to find out what has happened and what the goals are for the day. Insert your goals. What are your goals for your baby?
Yeah, that's so good. That's such good information.
Yeah. So that's what I tell people. There are so many other things, and I tell people, network, learn other families, hear their experiences as well, and you'll work together in the NICU with other families.
Yeah, and I'm sure it helps a lot to just not feel so alone too, to have that community there. Mm-hmm. Now, you are a DONA International Certified Birth and Postpartum Doula and the founder and owner of Birth Sisters Doula. For the listeners that may not be super familiar, and I'm sure most of us are at this point, but who may not be super familiar with who and what a doula is and what they do, can you briefly explain a little bit about your role as a doula?
Sure. So as a doula, I am there to support families, but especially moms, physical, emotional, and informational support. So making sure that you understand about childbirth and about any kind of special complications that you might have, or what questions you can ask. Physically, being able to help with comfort measures, positioning, help with breastfeeding, all of baby care, like physically. And then emotionally, which I absolutely love, is being able to listen to your heart and hear what are those changes as you become a mother and as you become a new woman. What are some of those things that are tugging at you and that you need support around, or that you just need to voice?
In your opinion, how does a doula change a person's birth story?
It makes them feel secure. It makes them feel that they have someone that is there for them. It makes them feel as though they are cared for through their process. It makes them feel as though they had the information and something was explained on their level. And a lot of women that I work with have anxiety, and they're very nervous about this whole process. And so having someone go with you from being pregnant, in the labor room with you, and in the postpartum room with you, tell you that you can do it, it means the world, because this person actually knows me. This is not a random person. So it improves their confidence throughout the process as well.
I think when I was pregnant 5 years ago and was looking at this idea of a doula, I kind of thought about it as oh, this person will help advocate for me. And I don't know, is that entirely accurate? Does a doula advocate for you, or do they help a mom to advocate for herself?
So my philosophy is that I will do both, but it looks very differently than what most people expect. I will absolutely help you to learn how to advocate. You are going to need to use the brain tool when anything is introduced to you. What are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? What does your intuition say? And what happens if we don't do this now or not at all? Those are the questions you're asking. So I'm teaching you that, but I'm also noting when you're not using it and saying, do you need time? You should have some time to discuss this, and giving you the space to kind of process what just happened when necessary, but also by having that birth plan, being able to say, oh, on your birth plan, you said you want it. So that's how it looks in the room, because you have to make sure that you're being professional and that you're working with staff. And so you can't speak for someone, but you
Sure.
can remind them of what they said.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You've been a doula for a little while now, right?
Yes. I've been a doula for 3 years.
How have you seen, because I feel like we're in this period of change here, especially with regard to doulas and midwives. How have you seen the profession change over the years? Do you find that you're more accepted in the hospital, more widely acknowledged in the community? Do you perhaps still run into people that don't understand the role of a doula?
Yes, yes to all of those. More accepted, and still people don't understand what it is. There's a nursing shortage that's happening. And so I find that an extra set of hands is nice for nurses to have. So they're excited about that piece and welcoming. I'm finding that a lot of people are starting to learn more about doulas. North Carolina, especially, has done a lot of work around making sure people understand the role, introducing doulas into trainings that usually are only nurses and doctors. We are now going to those same trainings with them. And that has been very helpful. The pandemic helped a lot because you had so many people who were afraid to go into hospitals, not knowing what the circumstances were because of the pandemic, and having the person there or someone there with people when they were busy and they were stretched out. Nurses started to recognize that, oh, this person is actually helping to keep my patients calm, and they're actually moving them when I'm not in the room, and this is much easier for us when we actually have that added layer of support. And so I think the pandemic definitely helped. There are still people who don't know what doulas do, and I have to kind of help ease them into it. And they're a little bit guarded when they see me move a mom or help a mom move. They are a little bit guarded when I suggest a position, and they're like, what are you doing? Who are you? And I'm reminding them, I'm not just a sister or a mom, I'm a doula. Sometimes I'll even wear the shirt that says it has a definition of what a doula is on there.
Oh, I love that.
But it is all of the above. We still have a lot of work to do in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Your website states that your passion is helping parents develop their voice in the care of their children and helping medical staff learn from and make improvements in care based on the parent perspective. There's so many layers to that, and I really love that. There's a lot of elements there that are very important, especially with where we're at today in our society. It's extremely admirable when looking at all of the ways you are actively involved in this endeavor. I'm going to go through a long list here. I'll be quick, but you have served as a subject matter expert for numerous highly reputable organizations, such as the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, ACOG. You were a speaker for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Amongst all of that, you are also currently working on policy with the Maternal Health Task Force, which is part of the Center of Excellence in Maternal and Child Health at Harvard Chen School. And you've worked on policy as co-chair of the North Carolina Institute of Medicine Task Force on the perinatal system of care in 2019. Basically, I threw out all these alphabet soup letters simply to say you're a go-getter and you're not ashamed to live out loud in the spotlight of your passion. Would you please discuss the different policies you see that are needed and that you are striving to get implemented?
Definitely the doula policies. We need to have doulas to be paid for by health plans. That is Blue Cross and United and Medicaid and all of them, not just Medicaid. We think about that one first, but it's all of them. And it needs to be something that people understand and know about. There are some pilots that are going on now where people are testing it out, TRICARE and Blue Cross. They're testing it out, but these are small pilots for certain demographics in certain areas of the state. We need to get to a place where that is standard care. We need to get to a place where childbirth education is not something that is an add-on. It is an automatic. Creating a birth plan with someone who hasn't had any education, it's terribly hard. And we also need to make sure we have standards of care. This is something women don't know. You can go to one doctor and they treat the same thing a different way than another doctor would in the same scenario because we're not all on the same page. That's not what we're doing yet. We're working towards that. And I think it's important for people to know that. I think also we need to get to a place where we ask the questions about standardly. What cultural and religious practices would you like to practice while in our care? Helping to make the hospital a safe place, a place where you can absolutely be yourself and not feel like you need to be on guard, those things, and helping people just to be heard and listened to. Right. So those are the things that we work on in these initiatives. But the big policy piece is the doula piece. Like that has to happen.
So speaking of doulas, is there a gold stand? Like, can anybody be a doula? Is there a gold standard when you're seeking a doula? Should you be looking for a certain certification or anything like that? I don't know about you, but I find it can be so hard to move from thought to action.
Yes, me too. Even when I clearly understand concepts and know what it is I need to do, I find it can still be difficult to recognize the necessity of consistent daily application. We often hear from fellow parents statements such as, I don't have enough time, or I can't seem to focus on more than one area at a time.
While it may be challenging, when you have a clear system, integrating growth can become much easier. Dr. Sharice Johnson is a her expert for the past 2 years and a licensed mental health counselor that we have come to respect immensely. She created the 5-on-5 system of success to help streamline the growth process into a manageable flow of daily habits.
Mindset Matters is a guided journal designed to enhance your personal development and help you cultivate the growth you desire. In as little as 25 minutes a day, you can increase your awareness, be mindful of your choices, and create neural pathways that will expand your resilience and potential.
Each journal will guide you through 8 weeks of focused effort. It also includes a space for daily reflection, prescriptions for growth, and weekly words of encouragement, which is something I have personally loved reading through each week.
If you've been looking for a simple yet effective way to stay focused on your goals, this is for you. You can find the link for the Mindset Matters journal in the show notes.
So right now, doulas are unregulated. So yes, someone could say tomorrow that they are a doula. So it is something that I tell people you want to ask questions about that. Some people ask the question of how long, some people ask the question of how many births, some people ask the questions of what types of birth have you been a part of. Some people ask the question of certification. And I think it is going to depend on the family. There are some families who are very careful and they want to make sure they have someone who is certified. There are some families who are like, I just want someone who has experience. Those things can be separate. I'm a person who believes in certification. I get flack for that all the time, but I think it's necessary. And I say this, if you bought a brand new house and this was the house of your dreams and you had to have someone come in and do repair work, is that person a person that knows this well, or is this a person who's certified? And that's a house. That's not your body.
Right.
That's not your birth experience. So I believe in certification. Some people don't. So that is something that you have to find for you what's important.
Sure. I mean, I certainly get the experience piece, but there's also having a certifying body lets you know that there's a certain standard of care that you can look to expect from that individual,
Yes.
and that there's certain, education that they've been through. So I certainly see and is DONA the kind of the gold standard for that?
I would say DONA is the oldest, largest.
Okay.
There are some others. Like I am also working with Shafia Monroe. And so I've taken her training, and I am now a childbirth educator trainer with her. And so she has a wonderful doula training. So there are some others, but I know when I walk into a hospital, the training, and if people see DONA, more people know what that is.
I see.
And that is helpful for me and to navigate.
So going back earlier in our conversation, I joked about we all put our pants on the same way. So kind of in that line of thought, do you ever get intimidated by who you are speaking to or who you're speaking in front of, the organizations you're working with, or even alternatively, the enormous change you are striving to accomplish? Like you're working towards a lot of very big policy changes that can be intimidating. Do you ever feel kind of overwhelmed or intimidated?
Honestly, no, I don't, because here's what I don't do. I don't read people's bios, right?
Oh,
I don't read your bio. I need to know, are we on the same wavelength? Why am I here? Who's in the room? And so I watch. I don't like going up first. So I watch the room. I see what people are saying. And I just kind of feed into the energy of the space. I don't read bios. There are people that I have worked with that I'm learning now have done some amazing things, right? And I'm like, glad I didn't know that.
I love it. So you're just a very intuitive person. I feel that's what I'm getting from you. Like you can really read a room, you can really read your body, and you trust your instincts.
I've learned to do that.
Good for you. I'm gonna try to absorb some of that through the screen. I need more of that in my life. This was something kind of mentioned in just a few moments ago. One of our initiatives includes equal access to care, specifically maternal care. That's something we try to focus a lot on in Her Health Collective. I'm going to share a couple statistics, and I'd love to know if any of these have affected you personally or professionally. There's 3 that I'll share. In the last 2 decades, the number of women who die giving birth each year has nearly doubled. The US has higher rates of death than 45 other countries, and the only developed country with a consistently rising maternal mortality rate. Black women, on average, are 12 times as likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women in New York City. That's a stat from Every Mother Counts. So yeah, have any of these impacted you personally or professionally? Is it something you've seen in your work?
Yes, I'll try and do this quickly. After I had my triplets, I was at home one night and they were still in the NICU. My 3-year-old was at home, and my husband was away for work. My mother was there with me, happened to be there. But somewhere around like 3 in the morning, I woke up because I felt wet. And as I was laying there, I raised my hand and I slapped the bed and I heard a splatter. And I got up, turned the lights on, and realized that I was hemorrhaging. I realized what was happening. I'm a mama, and I knew that somewhere in that next hour, my older child was going to wake up for milk. He was still doing that. So I went with a bath towel between my legs. I got the milk. I called 911, and I laid it beside him so that he would not fully wake up and see it. I called 911. I had them come, and I stayed still because the more I moved, the more I bled. So, and when I heard them drive up, I got a new towel, and I went to the living room, and I'm like, I'm good. They're here. And when they got there, they wanted to know, what did I take? They wanted to know, what had I done? And then they wanted to know, can I stand? And when I told them no, they said, yes, you can. And they lifted me up. And when they did, I fell. And throughout that whole time, I started to wonder if I was going to make it to the hospital. But once I fell, they did get me out of there, and they took me to the hospital. And I had to have surgery because one of my placentas was not completely detached. You heard about how that delivery went. And so in that moment, I realized that they did not see me as valuable or as an emergency. They never went to see how much blood I lost. They never went to see the bed and the room and the floor. And so those delays and responses, those attitudes are some of what we're seeing in these numbers. So I've seen it happen. I am also a person who I'm at a lot of tables nationally, and I hear these stats and I hear the women speak, and it's the same stories of no one listened.
I mentioned previously the conference that Cindy and I had attended earlier this week. And one mom got up and shared the story of her stillbirth. And it was an impromptu request. And they asked the women attending the conference that had experienced a stillbirth to stand and come up on the stage so we could have a moment of silence to honor their babies. And 11 women stood up. 10 of them were Black. And it was just such a stark, I mean, like you couldn't deny it. You couldn't question, like it's there, it's in your face. This is very clearly an issue in our country. And it's right there for everyone to see. It took a moment. I just had to sit there and really process what I was seeing there, because you hear these stats, and each of those women had a story of pain and incredible suffering, and more than likely a story similar to what you shared, where she wasn't listened to, she wasn't given the time and attention that she needed.
Right.
So,
and I think when you look at this, you realize that you have this system that needs to have those moments of quick reactions and being able to jump in, and it's not standard for everybody. That is something that people don't recognize. And I have, women of color that I liken it to breaking the news to a child that all police officers are not their friends. I have to break the news to some of my clients that all doctors are not your friends either, and that you need to look into that and be educated for yourself. You can't just give your care over to someone. You need to have questions. You need to understand for yourself and choose your clinicians based on how you connect with them, because everybody doesn't connect, and you need to have that. It breaks their hearts to hear that they need to think about it in those ways, but it is the truth. And I say that to everyone because there are, one of the toughest stories that I've heard recently, or I've heard from a client, has not even been from a Black woman, right? So this whole crisis that we're in right now is impacting everyone. It is disproportionately impacting women of color. But I also want people to remember that we're talking about mortality. We're not talking about morbidity. Your likelihood of a morbidity is much higher than a mortality. And so when we look at these numbers, we need to recognize that there are people like me who lived through it, that count as a morbidity, many more of us out there.
sure.
And you don't want to be either of those.
No, absolutely not. I guess as we're wrapping up here, I would love to know if you truly believe that we can create a healthcare system where clinicians and patients have a true partnership and can improve outcomes. What are your ideas on how we can make this happen so it is inclusive of all socioeconomic platforms, accessible to every race? What does that look like? And is it truly possible?
I think it is absolutely possible. My experience working with my doctors in the NICU and my nurses in the NICU helped me to realize what that looks like. I think it's absolutely possible. What needs to happen is you need to have people you need to be around more people. You need to be around people of different demographics, and you need to hear from them. These stories are needed. And you also need to hear the joy. You need to hear the dreams. You need to learn a person. You need to hear from different people. The implicit bias trainings and, being able to rub elbows and make friends with people that are different from you. All of that helps because you learn about so many things. I was just around Indigenous people in Minnesota, and I learned so many things about Native people. And I grew up around Native people. I learned so many things because each tribe is different.
Yeah.
right? And it's the same way. All Black people are not the same. You got to learn some different people and be okay with the differences. We have become this society where people stay in their little bubbles and they don't have to leave. You pick your neighborhood, you know what school your kids are gonna go to, and you're going to work. And if you don't meet anybody in those bubbles, then that's different from you. The chances of that happening are very slim. We have to be intentional. So it's life work. It's not just things that you can do in that clinical setting. That's helpful, yes, but it's life work. And we all have a part to play in that and making those connections for people, because that's the thing. It's really getting comfortable with people.
Yeah, there's so much power in hearing someone's story too, especially if you are a person living in a bubble that's surrounded by all people that look exactly like you. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know these other people's stories, and it can feel scary or different from you. But when you hear someone's story and you realize they put their pants on the same way, I'm going to keep coming back to this. We're all people. We're all, have the same feelings and emotions and move through those things. And it can just bring more reality, although we do not all have the same experiences. And we also have to acknowledge that.
That's right.
Just as one final question, I'd love to know what message you think every mom should hear.
You are doing a great job. You are the perfect parent for that baby, and you are going to figure it out. We all do. Don't compare yourself to someone who's been doing it for 10 years, because they were just like you when they started. You're amazing. You're awesome. Give yourself credit. You deserve it.
Thank you so much, LaToshia. I truly enjoyed this conversation so much.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
LaToshia is a force. Anyone with her on their side is in extremely capable hands. Let's see if our 3 takeaways match yours. And if not, that's wonderful. We are beyond thrilled that you are leaving this episode with things to reflect on. Number 1, LaToshia detailed her birth story and how she gave birth to her daughter, the first of her triplets, alone, standing in the hospital bathroom. She said that she followed her intuition and higher self as she stood alone in the bathroom. She is frequently asked about how she knew what to do. Her common response is that it starts with getting in touch with yourself while you're pregnant, listening to what you are feeling and listening to your inner knowing. She encourages her clients to ask themselves, where do you feel kicks? Where do you feel like getting in tune with your body and your baby throughout the process? Listening to your intuition and higher self continues even after the baby is born and throughout parenting. When you listen to your inner knowing, LaToshia says your life is better. Number 2, our second takeaway is a quote directly from LaToshia. When she made this statement, she was directing it towards moms of multiples, but it's definitely beneficial for all parents. LaToshia said, quote, I would tell moms of multiples to enjoy it. This is overwhelming, but find those moments where you can absolutely enjoy it. Celebrate the milestones, eat the cake, let the rules go for a while, because this really is a moment in time they're going to grow up. And when you look back on it and you realize just what this miracle has been for you, you want to know that you absolutely enjoyed it. Not that you did right, it's that you enjoyed it too. Number 3, LaToshia shared her story about waking up in the middle of the night, realizing that she was hemorrhaging. She mentioned that those delays and slow responses that she experienced are an example of the attitudes that are resulting in the tragic maternal mortality numbers disproportionately affecting women of color. LaToshia's experienced it, seen it happen, and has heard women speak of their experiences. It's the same story. No one listened. The bright light in this is that LaToshia fully believes that we can create a healthcare system where clinicians and patients have a true partnership and can improve outcomes. Her suggestion in accomplishing this: we need to be intentional about being around people of different demographics and hear from them and listen to their stories. You have to learn from different people and be okay with the differences. Hi, friend. We've enjoyed hanging out with you. Follow us so you're the first to know when we drop a new episode.
If you enjoyed your time with us, let us know by leaving a review. We always love hearing from you. Until next time, stay true to you.